Okay, we are doing, make sure at the top right hand corner you have your name, first and last name. You have that it is your period, whatever the period is, and that it is Q1, week 2, and today is Monday. So number 1 is just following the order of operations, and let's just make that note from what we did last week. We will just write gems. Grouping, exponents, multiplying and dividing left to right, subtracting and adding left to right. Copy your problem down. Okay, so what we have to do is our grouping first. So we are going to keep 4 squared minus 28 divided by 7 is 4 plus 111. Then we do exponents. So 4 squared is 16. Then copy everything else down. Now we are on subtracting and adding, and for subtracting and adding we just go left to right. So 16 minus 4 is 12, and then 12 plus 111. If you can't do that, write it up and down off to the side. And your answer is 123, and please make sure you box it. Number 2. Janet has 17 quarters and $13 in bills. How much total money does she have? Well, quarters are worth how much? Yep, it'd be 25 cents. So I take 17 times 0.25. 5 times 7 is 35. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 makes 8. Cross off what you used. Add a 0. 2 times 7 is 14. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 makes 3. Add them all up. And then at the end, count your number of decimals. 1, 2. So then I go from the right and I come into the left, 1, 2. So it's $4.25 in quarters, but then I need to add my $13 in bills plus my $4.25. Some of you can do this in your head, but I need to see it on the paper that you are adding those two numbers and box your answer. Number 3, I'm going to kind of draw the diagram here. It says what adds to be the bottom number, but also multiplies to be the top. So my top number is 48, and I have 2 numbers in here, and my bottom number is 14. And it says it adds to be the bottom number, but multiplies to be the top. So if I don't know, I'm going to think of 48. I'm going to just start by doing my multiples. What multiplies? So I'm not going to do multiples. I'm actually going to do my factors. So I'm going to have 1 and 48. Well, they definitely don't add to 14. 2 and 24 do not add to 14. Then I'm going to have 4 and 4 and 12. And then 6 and 8. So the only 2 numbers that combine are the 6 and the 8. So those would be your 2 answers, because nothing else adds to that. I am not going to explain today on number 4, but I'll show you just a little bit. For the answer, there are 14 squares. Many of you probably had 10s, because it's one, like this is a square. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But then and then you have this big one that's 10. Okay, but then I have one here, 2 by 2. There's 1, 2. So that big one made 10, 11, 12. I guess I am explaining it. And then this one is 13, and then 14. Which is these numbers is not like the other. I'm gonna write these down on my paper. Got 21, 15, 6, 16, and 27. So which one does not belong? The one that does not belong is 16. But I want to know the reason why. It's because it is not a multiple of 3. Number 6. John and Jim painted a fence. John painted 1/4 of the fence, and Jim painted 5/12 of the fence. How much of the fence did they paint total? So if I want to find the total, I'm going to add. So I've got 1/4 plus 5/12. As I said last week, when we add and subtract fractions in here, we are going to write them up and down. When it's multiplying and dividing, you go left to right. We have to find a common denominator. Our common denominator is 12. So I had to multiply 4 by 3 to get to 12, so 1 times 3 is 3. And this stays 5/12. The denominator stays the same as 12, and then I just add my numerators. So 3 plus 5 is 8. Now in 7th grade, oops, you can't see that. And in 7th grade, what we're gonna make sure we reduce, we simplify. So we can divide this by 4 to get 2/3. So 2/3 is your answer for number 6. Number 7, we have a -4/9 times a -5/8. When multiplying, we can keep them going across, but I want to cross cancel to reduce. So I'm going to take, what can I go from the top and the bottom to reduce by? So 4 and 8 can be reduced by 4. So this becomes a 1, this becomes a 2. And then 1 times 5 is 5, 9 times 2 is 18. Then I'm going to look at my sign here. A negative times a negative becomes a positive. So I want you to write that. A negative times a negative equals a positive. A negative times a positive equals a negative. Make sure you add these notes. In number 8, a recipe for cake needs 3/4 of a cup of milk. You are making half of the recipe. How much milk do you need? I keep seeing the word of. So the recipe takes 3/4, but I'm making half of the recipe. So I want half of the 3/4 of milk. Yeah. Now what you need to understand that of in math means to multiply. So I have 1/2 times 3/4. I look to see, can I cross cancel anything? I cannot, so I just go ahead and multiply going across. 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 4 is 8. So you're going to need 3/8 cup of milk to make a half of a recipe. Make sure you take a picture of all of these notes. Everything in that notebook should be on your paper. If it's not, you better go back and watch the video and get it written down. And then submit it to today's bell work.